Have you ever imagined what it would look like? The moment when heaven itself reaches down and takes a man from the earth in a blaze of fire? Not as a myth, not as a vision, but as an event so real that the ground trembles, the air burns, and a prophet disappears before human eyes? What would you do if you stood beside Elijah that day? The wind howling, the sky torn open, and the sound of a chariot, not made of iron or wood, but of fire and glory? What if that moment wasn't just about one man's departure, but a revelation for what is coming again? A sign of how heaven moves between realms, and how faith, obedience, and divine purpose can literally rewrite the laws of the natural world. This is not just the story of Elijah as fiery ascent. It is a mystery that touches heaven, science, prophecy, and the human heart. And if you stay with me until the end, you will discover what few have ever understood. That Elijah's departure was not an ending, but a doorway, a preview of a future event the world will one day witness again. In the dust of ancient Israel, a man walked who was more fire than flesh. Elijah, the prophet who stood alone against kings and false gods, who called down fire from heaven and made the skies obey his word. His very name, Eliyahu, means, "My God is Yahweh." Every syllable burned with devotion. He lived in caves, clothed in rough hair and leather, fed by ravens when the world starved. He spoke to storms, challenged empires, and moved as if lightning coursed through his veins. But there is a hidden rhythm in the story, a pulse beneath the miracles. Elijah's life is not random. It follows a divine pattern. Fire appears again and again, marking every stage of his mission. Fire on Mount Carmel that devours the altar. Fire that falls when soldiers come to seize him. And finally, fire that becomes a chariot. The question is, why? Why was heaven's final act toward Elijah a storm of flame? But the next part will surprise you even more. Because fire, in the ancient world, was not only a sign of destruction, it was the symbol of purification and divine presence. In Hebrew thought, fire is where God dwells. When Moses saw the burning bush, it was a glimpse of that same realm. When Israel followed the pillar of fire by night, it was the same heavenly energy that would later descend to take Elijah home. Now imagine, the day had come. Elijah and Elisha walked together, aware that something was about to happen. The Jordan River shimmered before them like molten glass. Elijah struck the water with his mantle, and the river split, a mirror of Moses and the Red Sea. Two men walking across dry ground between walls of divided current, the power of heaven humming in the air. Elisha knew this was the moment his master would be taken. But could any man truly prepare to watch heaven open? What comes next may change how you see the sky forever. Because when the heavens opened that day, what appeared was not just a light. It was a chariot of fire, drawn by horses of flame. Imagine the sound, a thunder not of clouds, but of the unseen, a vibration that shook the soul more than the air. Elisha's eyes widened. He saw between worlds. He glimpsed something we might call today a dimensional crossing, the veil between the earthly and the divine tearing like silk. Science tells us that fire is plasma, the fourth state of matter. Atoms break and energy moves freely. Could it be that what Elisha saw was not just fire as we know it, but the visible energy of heaven, matter transfigured by divine power? For a moment, the spiritual world became visible. Heaven touched earth, and in that blinding instant, Elijah was lifted, body and spirit, into another realm. The next revelation uncovers a secret very few people know. Elijah's ascent was not the end of his story. Centuries later, on a lonely mountain, three figures appeared to Jesus: Moses, Elijah, and the Messiah himself, surrounded by glory. Elijah, who had not tasted death, stood alive in the presence of the Son of God. His journey had crossed the ages. The chariot of fire had not destroyed him. It had transformed him. But the story only grows more mysterious from here. because the prophets declared Elijah would come again for the great and terrible day of the Lord. Could it be that his fiery departure was also a prophecy of his return? And could the same fire that carried him away be the same light that will one day blaze across the sky and the trumpet sounds again? Let us linger on that image, the fiery chariot, suspended between heaven and earth. The Bible says a whirlwind separated Elijah and Elisha, and the mantle fell to the ground. The torch of faith passed from one generation to the next. The physical cloak was only a symbol. What truly passed was spiritual authority, the living connection to the divine. Every time faith leaps from one heart to another, every time truth is handed down and miracles continue, the mantle falls again. And yet, what is this whirlwind? The word in Hebrew, sirah, means storm, tempest, vortex, a spinning force. Modern science might call it a portal, a spiral of energy connecting dimensions. What Elisha saw was not only a spectacle, it was a glimpse into how heaven interacts with creation. The same storm that took Elijah may be the same kind of glory that surrounded Jesus at the ascension, the same power that will one day surround every believer when heaven calls them home. But there is another mystery hidden deeper still, one that reveals why Elijah's story still burns in our imagination today. The prophets of Baal, the drought, the mountain fire. All of it mirrors the struggle between truth and deception in every generation. Elijah was not just a man of miracles. He was a mirror. His fiery chariot reminds us that no matter how dark the age, God's power can pierce through the veil. Think of how the elements themselves responded to Elijah. Water obeyed, fire obeyed, even ravens brought food to him by command. He was a living testimony that creation listens to its creator, and that faith can align a human heart so perfectly with God's will that the impossible becomes ordinary. But the next part will surprise you even more. Because if Elijah's story foreshadows the end, then his departure also foreshadows the return of divine fire, not of destruction, but of transformation. Jesus said, "I have come to bring fire on the earth." The same heavenly flame that lifted Elijah will one day renew the world. The heavens themselves will burn with glory, and every eye will see it. So what does it mean for us? It means the story of Elijah is not just about a prophet, it is a rehearsal for our destiny. The chariot of fire still waits, not as myth, but as promise. And just as Elisha watched with tears and awe, one generation will one day look up and see the heavens open again. The story only deepens as we begin to trace Elijah's footsteps back, from the wilderness where he heard the still small voice to Mount Carmel, where fire fell, from heaven to the final river that split before him. Every step is a revelation of how divine power moves through faith. But this is only the beginning, because the next revelation will show how Elijah's fire connects with the coming of the Messiah, how his spirit echoes through John the Baptist, and how that same whirlwind will one day call a generation from the earth into the clouds. Stay with me, because what comes next will take this mystery beyond prophecy into destiny itself.